Hello, everybody. This is Luther Palmer, and welcome to the first episode of One Episode Stand, a podcast where Jobina Scott and I help you figure out what new shows to watch.
For each and every podcast episode, we watch and discuss the series premiere of a brand new television show. Then, like the Rolling Stones we are, we're moving on to the next show.
We love them and leave them. We hit it and quit it. We smash and dash. Some people have one-night stands. Look, I'm not going to judge you for that. And we have one episode stands, but we do it for you, the listeners.
Now, let me tell you something. We're going to try our very best not to spoil anything. However, we make no promises.
This is going to be hard today because this is a real story that
exists.
exists.
Yeah, you already know the story. So we're going to go with reckless abandon and telling you what we thought of this show.
This is our first episode, and we want to introduce ourselves a bit. Jobina, what do you want our listeners to know about you?
So this is not something to be proud of. Let's be clear. But I want our listeners to know that if you ever want any advice about any and all fad diets, please know that your girl has done them all.
What? I don't even know what's the latest one? Like, what's the most recent one that you've done?
Okay, most recently it's intermittent fasting.
Oh, okay.
Which actually I like. I'm not a breakfast person anyway.
Right,
so it's not hard for me to not eat until noon, eat from noon to 8. Now the 8 is the hard part. Stopping myself from eating at night is the hard part.
Now, do you stay up late at night though, or what time is your bedtime normally?
I'm a night owl. I'm up late. So you got all these hours that you're awake that you could be in the pantry.
Can you hold off till 2 o'clock in the afternoon to eat?
No, I'm not going to make it that long. I'm not going to make it that long.
Oh, what was the worst one? Like, what's the one that you just...
Oh, whatever that master cleanse, the Beyonce...
With the
lemon juice.
The
cayenne
syrup.
Pepper, maple syrup. Forget it. I mean, you will turn into a beast within 2 days. In 2 days, you'll be attacking your family and friends. You are so miserable.
Yeah.
You're either just going to have to lay still and do absolutely nothing, exert no energy.
But see, I don't know. I had the opposite. I was able to maintain.
You did it?
I did it for... When I first got married, we did it together for about 7 days, I think. And I was fine. I played basketball.
What are you talking about 7 days?
I played basketball.
No.
I was all in.
No. Day 3, I was prostrate on the floor.
So I want people to know that I have 3 daughters. I am the king of making daughters.
Girl dad.
Hashtag girl dad. That is me. One of them is in college, and we went to visit her this weekend, and it was a great time. It's just, I don't know, seeing, and this is true for all kids, just seeing, remembering when this little person was in your arms, and now they're just out in the world making decisions on their own.
It's crazy,
who
isn't
are
it?
you? Sometimes you're just who are you?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from with this?
I ask my kids that sometimes. Where did you come from?
Yeah, and I've got a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they're just growing and talking and answering questions and lying and all the things. I am fully a girl's dad. So, all right, enough about us. Jobina, today we are, and I don't know why we started with this show.
This is the one to start with.
Today we are discussing Dahmer.
Okay, so Dahmer is on Netflix, as probably everybody in the country already knows, and around the world, because everybody is watching this show. So this is a 52-minute drama, ominous horror, gore, all of that. All the scary things, telling the real life story of Jeffrey Dahmer.
And I think I want to say here, if you, and this will not usually be the case, but if you have children around, this might not be the right podcast.
This is not your episode.
If you yourself have any childlike wonder and naivete that you want to hang on to, again, this might not be the show.
It's not for you.
If you are young at heart, warning, this show and our discussion of the show.
Turn it off.
It's not for you. Like, I felt some of my humanity literally getting up and walking out the door as I watched the show.
Yes.
Like, it's bad.
It is so awful. It is so awful.
So let's start here. What did you know about the show before we picked it for this podcast?
So I follow Niecy Nash on Instagram.
Right.
So I knew that she was going to be playing the neighbor, Glenda. I can't remember her last name, but I knew that from following Niecy.
Wait, did you used to watch Reno 911? Her like breakup.
So,
my goodness.
I know Niecy Nash from this home makeover show that she used to do.
Huh?
Oh my God. She used to be on this home makeover show way back in the day, before Reno 911.
Before Reno 911.
Yeah, where she and like a design team would go to like the messiest house. So people would be like, but I have stuff everywhere. And they would clean they would clean out the house and like redesign it for like, I mean, literally like they would spend $1,000. So the people's house was clean, but it was not that beautiful. But she was her like Niecy Nash sassy self on this design show.
She was perfect on Reno 911. Like,
I'm gonna watch
I don't think she
it.
was an original cast member. I think they brought her on mid, and she was absolutely hilarious. I've been a fan of hers, but it's interesting because she has turned herself into a bona fide actress. Like,
exactly.
She went from like, I'm Niecy Nash and I'm, the hood and I'm ratchet.
Right, and I have
like,
this whole stick, but yeah.
Yeah. And I wish, what's the other comedian right now who does all the hood ratchet stuff all the time? She's a stand-up comic, and she's always playing
I don't know.
the loud black woman.
Oh, Tiffany Haddish.
Yes, and I want her to like make a turn. Like, don't always
just turn that corner. Yeah,
right, just don't always be the same thing. Like, be Niecy Nash. All right.
Yeah.
So what else did you know?
That was it.
That was it.
I mean, I know the story, obviously, but about the show.
But what did you know about the story? Because so this thing happened in the early 90s. I didn't know much about the story.
What? Oh, I remember when it happened. Like, I was in high school. I remember hearing it. Of course, what stood out in my mind was that he was eating people.
Yeah, well, I knew that. I mean,
yeah, everybody knew that. But yeah, I remember hearing about the story in high school.
But I think as I watched this show, and then I kind of went to the internet to find other pieces of information about it, I recall myself making a conscious decision, also in high school, not to engage the story because it was weird, and he was eating people, and I felt like I was maybe subconsciously trying to protect myself from this craziness.
It is madness, absolute madness.
So, okay, so now having watched the first episode, big picture, what would you say this show is about?
Oh my God. I mean, this show is about, I think, the lowest level of human depravity. I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like the show is kind of foreshadowing that there's going to be this debate between was he evil or was he crazy? But like, whether it was sickness or evil, like, it is just like when whatever that force is takes over a human being,
right.
the depths to which they will go to I guess meet the need of that compulsion. But it is horrendous.
Okay, let's get into it. So also this happened in Milwaukee, and I thought it happened out west. For some reason, in my mind, it was maybe because I wanted it to be far from me.
Right, you were in the Midwest, and so was he.
Right. He was close to me.
He
Anyway,
was
so this
close.
is 1991. How would you say the show looked, sounded, and made you feel?
So they're definitely, like, they've got the 80s thing, like late 80s, early 90s thing, really done well. The decor in Niecy Nash's apartment, her glasses, his glasses, they just really got the aesthetic of the late 80s, early 90s down pat. And then it's dark, right? So like so many of the scenes, like most of the color in the show is like brown, some version of brown. Like, it's just dark. It's very dark, and I guess that's symbolic of how dark what's happening. That what they're sharing is, but it's dark.
And the first episode was also very slow moving.
Yeah, it is slow moving,
and it was like that tense slowness, right? Like I said, this episode starts near the end. and there's a lot of tension, and like the slowness of it all just heightened that tension.
Well, and fear. I felt like I was like so because I also didn't realize in the beginning that it was set at the end. So I was so scared for what was
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I just, it made me so afraid.
Yeah, they pulled you into the
They
drama
did.
and the tension. Like it's like, here we are, folks.
Right. You're in the thick of it.
This is a man who eats people. It's still, and it almost still seems fictional. It just, for some reason, it just seems fictional to me. Okay, so how did you feel about the storyline? How did you feel about their approach in starting where they did?
I thought it was really brilliant because I think you have to assume on some level that at least a good chunk of your audience knows the story, right? And so I think I think it was really smart to start where they did because to me, it drew me into, I want to know the backstory. Here's how we know how it culminated. He was arrested. The story was exposed. Now take me back through it. I'm assuming that in episodes going forward, I'm going to learn about him as a child, to your point. I'm going to hear about other murders he committed.
Let me ask you directly, why did you want to know more? I'm just curious.
I want to know not why he was the way he was. I want to know, when did it start? Was Jeff a guy who you'd go back to his high school and they'd go, Jeff? I can't believe he would ever do something like that.
Right.
Or is he a child who always appeared strange to people, who had sort of ways of being, things that he did? I mean, you hear a lot about serial killers. The first thing they did is they started in on animals. Was that true of Jeff? So I was less interested in why. I was more interested in, like, when did it start and how did it manifest before he got to where he was.
So that's interesting because in the episode, a lot of he's very weird. His cadence of talking is weird.
Yes.
But I didn't get the impression that he was weird in real life. He was involved in weird things, but I think he was normal looking. And I don't know if this was the show trying to add tension. And I think a lot of us want to believe that a person who eats people is weird. Yeah. But I think he walked around pretty normal.
Well, and he convinced many, many people to come back to that apartment. So he had to have something about him that made someone interested in spending time with him.
Oh, real quick on the why. I ended up watching the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. The Netflix
so
also
did I.
released. Oh,
yes.
Okay, good, right. So there's a moment when so these are the actual recordings that his attorney took talking to him. And there's a point where he says, I want to know why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
And man, that just struck me, like he has this horrible desire to do things. It's not like I'm sitting here trying not to kill people. Like I don't
You're not actively
desire,
working against that urge, right?
So if one day I woke up and I wanted to eat people's hearts and like I would also be like, why am I this way? What's happening here? And I don't think we ever solved that question for Dahmer, and I don't think we ever solved that question for ourselves either.
No. Well, I will say though that when I listened to that show, because I listened to the same thing, I just wanted to know more. I felt like his affect, I thought they got it right on the show. When you listen to him on the recording, he is so flat. He is so monotone. Like he's not showing any emotion as he's retelling these horrific things that he had done. I thought after I listened to that and heard his actual voice, I was like, I think they got it pretty right. I didn't think the character was sort of overacting. I think they nailed it.
But then how do you think he convinced people to come back? And we talk about the way the show looks, sounds, and feel. How did the show smell? Because his apartment, like, I did not know he lived in an apartment. I just assumed he's living in a house. He has an apartment. Every person that comes to his apartment, the first thing they say is, oh my God, what is that smell?
Yeah.
Niecy Nash, who was the neighbor, was like, Jeff, this smells horrible. And he kept talking about, I have this meat that's spoiled. And have you ever smelled a dead body before?
No.
Like a stench of a dead body. Like I haven't
No.
either. But
No.
I just feel like all my years of watching Law and Order, I've got to believe it smells horrible.
Wretched.
And how was he able to have this? And he was putting body parts in acid, and he was doing all the things. But how could this smell not have just been all throughout the whole building?
Well, I believe that it was, and I remember from hearing the original story that neighbors had complained about the stench.
Right.
So there just had to be a sickness there because he was literally in there. Think about how bad it must have smelled for Niecy Nash. It's coming from the other apartment. He was in there with that horrible, horrible smell of death times however many, 10, 12, 15, 16. And he just lived in it, and he was perfectly comfortable.
But now, Niecy Nash, all right, so this touches on what I think was a theme of this episode. And I didn't know if it was going to be a theme of the whole show or not. But she says, when the police finally get there, she says, I've been calling you all.
I called y'all a million times.
And you did nothing. And do you remember the very opening scene?
Niecy
Nash is she's watching the news.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how some white police officers in Milwaukee beat up an undercover black police officer.
Yes.
Right? So it's very intentional that they're making the suggestion here that the Milwaukee police had some issue with race. And Jeffrey Dahmer, I didn't know this before, he lived in a black neighborhood.
Yes. Well, I certainly noticed the foreshadowing first scene. I was like, I hope that they carry this theme through because, Jeff and his life and what he did and why or where it started, that's one piece. But the backdrop is the environment in which he was able to keep doing this. And so I hope they will continue to explore it. I feel like at least 3 times they hit on it in this show, even when the black guy is running down the street. Like the way the police interface with him is another example of kind of their racist
he did
feelings.
have on handcuffs. And it was like he was shirtless.
He was right. He was.
And I was like, if I saw a guy running toward me like that, I'd be like, stop right there.
Now, what are you doing, sir? Oh Lord!
But there's also and I think this came out in the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes that because they were gay, that also
it was another trope that he used.
It was another trope that he used, and it was like. I think there was a scene, and now I'm getting the shows mixed up, but there was a scene where they were talking about the police didn't think that men could be raped.
Yep.
So the accusations, because Jeffrey Dahmer was known for drugging people in the gay community.
That's right.
But they didn't do anything because it was like, oh, guys raping guys, ha ha ha, whatever.
Well, but they also, I think probably in the other show as well, they talked about the fact that the Milwaukee police also didn't want to appear as being homophobic and offending the gay population. So I think he leveraged that so much, even when the police came back to his apartment. And he started talking about, well, we're homosexuals and we were engaged in role play. Right, and how we can get into rough stuff. And he just was leveraging that as a tool to keep them from coming to into his apartment because he knew.
So I think this is a good time to talk about the fact that he killed 17 people from 1978 to 1991. But there was like one killed early, then there was a long break, and then he killed like 8 of those people in 1991
in the same year.
And I think all of those were gay black men.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they never found the bodies, right? These were missing people. And if there were 8 missing people in like a 6-month stretch in the same part of town,
right?
Where was the manhunt? Where were the police in this?
Well, and I just cannot be convinced that this was not a strategic move to put himself in a position to continue to kill people. I'm sorry, it was not lost on him that a missing gay black man was not going to be at the top of the Milwaukee police force's list to try to find.
Yeah, clearly, and he gambled correctly because it didn't.
He kept
seem
getting
like
away with it.
Cared.
Yes.
He already had a charge, a sexual assault charge.
Yep.
So if in fact the police had cared about 8 black men, gay black men going missing, surely he'd be at the top of their list. But he wasn't. The whole thing is just bad. It's a bad look.
It is a bad look.
So, what did you think about the acting? How did you feel about the choices they made?
I mean, so far so good.
Right.
I'm pleased with Niecy Nash. I'm pleased with the guy who's playing Jeff Dahmer. Like I
So that guy's name is Evan Peters, so he he's some kind of a heartthrob, and there's been a little pushback about the selection of an attractive man to play Dahmer because, and if you look online, women are saying like they're attracted to Dahmer because he's being played by this attractive man. And then there's
okay,
all this.
Luther. I'm looking at Evan Peters online right now,
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna say I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, I don't think they are ruining his attractiveness by having him play Dahmer. To me, he looks like Jeff Dahmer. I think that they did a great job with
Yeah.
the makeup and the hair and all of it. And I would say in real life, I mean,
I'm just selling like I bought it. People are into him. But it also brought up another point about Jeffrey Dahmer has fans. Like the original Jeffrey Dahmer has fans.
Yes.
And some of the pushback on this series was you all are going to create a whole
More
new
fans.
generation
Oh my
of
God.
fans for this sicko. And I don't
I
know that
hope
the
not.
show like I don't know that's the show's fault. I mean, people are going to be crazy and sick and disgusting. They're going to find a way to do it whether you make an episode about Dahmer or not.
Yeah.
Did you feel it in any way like they were sensationalizing or glorifying?
No.
Okay. I mean,
No.
I think
not not in this first episode. No.
Yeah.
I,
One of the victims' families, they were disgusted, and they were like, because they were saying like, "What's the point?" They were like,
yeah.
"You all are drudging this back up again," and they were like, "What's the point?" And this is where I got to this thing about why, like why are so many people captivated by this show, right? Like what's driving it to be the most popular show on Netflix?
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I feel bad for the family, but like this is the thing that happened. Like this is a story that happened. He's probably the weirdest. And the other thing that was weird about Dahmer is not only was a serial killer, but in the Dahmer tapes, one of the psychologists is like, I've never seen a serial killer as not repentant, but like as giving of information as he was. Like he told his lawyer, "Nope, I'm going to confess everything. I'm going to tell the whole thing." He didn't try to hold out for a lighter sentence.
No.
He was
And
like, "I'm going to tell it all."
even on Dahmer, like when the police have him down on the floor and he's under arrest, the guy is telling him, "I hope you die," and he's like, "I should
Right.
die for the things I've done."
Yeah.
Like he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
Okay, Luther, this is not a theme, but this is something that my petty eyes noticed in the show. So Jeff is luring people back to his apartment under the guise of being a photographer. And then this man takes a Polaroid camera out of his drawer. And I'm like, I mean, this is your signal. It's time to bolt for the door. He is not a photographer. I just was like, how? I mean, you got to get a better ruse. I mean, I just did not understand how he thought he was going to pull that off.
Well, first of all, you walk in and the place stinks, right? So
It's
that's
disgusting.
your first
And smells horrific.
And to the guy's credit, like the first guy that we see, he is like,
Immediately.
okay, like I'm gonna head on out, right?
Yeah, I got to go.
And then you're right, the Polaroid comes out, and you're like, no,
I'm in
like,
trouble. I am
I'm done.
in trouble.
And the fact that Jeffrey Dahmer's got like 17 locks on his door, like no,
Right.
Like,
Well, and even in that scene, he also, the drill is on the counter.
yeah,
With blood dripping from it. The knife is in, like, I just noticed when that opening scene where he's washing up, like he's not even really getting the blood off of him. He's just like, just rinse a little. And then he went out.
yeah.
Yeah.
There were signs, and that's why I think, were there signs? Like, did the show accurately represent how how people got duped. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
because the smell of the bot, like, I just can't. Like, I gotta go. Like, I have to go.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
cannot
think then
stay
it's
here.
too late though because you've already been drugged.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think people had very little time to respond to the environment. Like they
right,
got duped outside of his apartment. By the time they got there, they likely knew I'm in trouble, but you've already had a drink. That drink is laced with sleeping pills. Like
right,
it's
right,
already too late.
right. Okay. Anything else? Is there any other piece of this that you want to cover?
No, no, I just want to keep watching it.
So, what was the most memorable thing to you about this episode?
When Dahmer's being escorted out in handcuffs and Niecy
Mm-hmm.
Nash is yelling at the police.
Mm-hmm.
I called y'all a million times. I told you something was going on in there.
Right, right.
I just imagine how the real Glenda
Mm-hmm.
felt
Mm-hmm.
knowing that like she was hearing sawing and screaming and all the bad
Yeah,
smells.
yeah,
She
yeah.
knew something horrific was going on in this apartment, and I can imagine she had a
Whew.
feeling of just vindication when she sees him being arrested, but also rage at the fact that I've been trying to prevent this. I've been trying to call, but because of who I am, because of where we live, you all didn't care.
Man, it's tough because there were so many interesting moments. I think most memorable is the victim that he has in his apartment. They struggle.
Hmm.
There's a moment where you as a victim realize this person is going to kill me. And that old adage, fight or flight, right?
Hmm.
That is on 1,000, right? Because
Yes.
he was uneasy. He was like, something's not right about this. There's a smell. There's weird things sitting around. And then there's a moment where he's like, oh my fucking God,
I
I
got to get out
have
of
to get
here.
out of here.
Yes.
And I think the show captured that energy so well.
Hmm.
That was memorable for me because there's so much tension leading up to that. And you're just like, please get away. Like, please get away.
Yeah.
That was, it
Can
was
I give you one more? Please,
I
please,
mean,
please.
I mean,
Please.
I don't want to set a precedent for the first
For
episode.
this is
All
the
right.
one and only time.
Go
But
ahead. I'll cut it in
you'll
post.
cut this off. The second most memorable moment for me is when the police step out after having chronicled for the dad
Mm-hmm.
what Jeff did and like his whole process of coming to
Mm-hmm.
grips with. I mean, I just think about any parent whose child has done something this criminal and this awful.
Right.
How you
Right.
must feel because this is the same baby that you loved.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the same child you took to first and second and like you would never ever in a million years. I mean, the dad even says like when you told me this was a murder investigation, I thought someone tried to kill Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he like takes it in and he's both crying and trying not to cry, to me that was such a palpable moment of him trying to come to terms with the level of horror that Jeff had
Because they
inflicted.
told him, and so they were like, this might be hard for you to hear. And then they like lay out, we found skulls.
Right, 5 skulls,
In his
full human
this.
remains, a head in the
Yes.
fridge. Yeah.
And they were like, we could tell by some of the residue on the silverware that he was eating. As a dad, you're just like, and even
What
if
are
you
you
think
going
your
to
kid
do
is
with
weird,
that? Yes.
what? And the dad is the perfect actor for this role.
Perfect.
He
Yes.
nails
He nailed
it.
the dad. Yes,
Because,
he did.
but it was kind of like the police dropped this bomb on them, and then they're like, "We'll leave you by yourself."
Yeah.
And you're right. He's just sitting there like, "What? Like what?"
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. That was an amazing scene.
It
Okay,
really was.
so now the question we've all been waiting for: are you going to see Dahmer again, or was it a one episode stand?
Every episode. I'm gonna I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I'm gonna finish Dahmer tapes. I'm gonna do it all.
You know what? I'm gonna pass.
What?
I'm gonna pass for the same reason that I let it go. 30 years ago? It's just too far, and I think on a human level, we have so many things to fight against. We have so many things to be mindful of. There's sexism and racism and greed. Cannibalism is just
It's a step too far.
I just don't want to think about it. I don't want to know that it exists.
You don't have the energy and the space for that, huh?
We are constantly reminded of these other things every day. I don't want to be reminded of cannibalism. I don't want to be thinking about all the time. And I guess this comes out of me being aware of how I'm entertained, right? Like, yeah, it's entertaining. Yo, the show is good.
It's really
The
well
show
done.
is well done. But I think I'm just going to choose not to entertain myself with this.
That's fair.
Okay. All right. Let's turn the page. Davina, what else are you watching? Hopefully something more positive.
Okay, I'm going to give you a reason to look up. So I am always watching a comedy special on Netflix. And yesterday I watched The King's Jester with Hassan Minhaj.
Yeah.
I love him.
Minhaj?
I said Hassan Minhaj.
I don't think his name is Minhaj.
My understanding, having watched the Ellen clip where he explained his name and how it's pronounced, leads me to believe that the pronunciation of his name is Hassan Minhaj.
Minhaj?
I mean, not with such an emphasis on the Hajj. I mean, it's a lighter touch than that, but it's not Minaj.
I mean, I wonder if, because I could have sworn I have heard him called Hassan Minhaj.
And you probably have, but I don't think you heard him call himself that.
Well, I mean, you might have a point. And maybe it's this thing where he just let it go. Like, he just was like, I'm not going to correct everybody. And when he says it himself, he's Hassan Minhaj. Minhaj. I keep wanting to put a hard H on there.
You're doing too much.
That's my Ohio tongue coming out. Hassan Minhaj. There you go. Hassan or Hassan?
Hassan.
Hassan Minhaj. Yes?
No. I mean, as the authority on his name between the two of us, I'm going to say no.
He's always very tense. Like, he's very, is tense the right?
Intense.
Intense. Yeah, he's very intense.
No, yeah. He's intense. And you get some of his intensity in this special, but it's so funny, and I really enjoyed it.
And there it is. We did it.
We did.
That's our first episode. Thank you for listening to One Episode Stand. If you like what you hear, just rate and subscribe to the podcast so you can be updated when new episodes come out. The theme music is Freedom by Paradox Hip Hop. We'll be back next time with another series premiere. Jobina, let's end on this. Every story has a moral. What is the moral of this episode?
I would say, I don't know. For me, it's don't go back to anybody's apartment. Just don't. Like, gone are the days. The hookup culture, like, gone are the days. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Really get to know somebody. Please. Please.
Yeah, and I hate to victim blame. But
yeah, and I'm not blaming. I'm just saying, as a note of caution, what can we learn? What can we learn?
If the place smells horrible,
it smells like death.
Yeah, even if it smells like bad meat, that's a no for me.
Right. Even if you did let your pork spoil, you're like, that also tells me something about you, right?
Right. Like, I feel like if the point of this whole thing is to engage in sex, bad meat smell is not going to do it for me. Like, I'm out. I'm out. All right, y'all. Take care.
Bye, everybody.